Welcome back. So now that we have the folder structure set up and we have our files created, we're going to spend some time in this video creating the actual HTML structure, so the elements that we need for our to-do list. Let's begin by taking a look at the final version that we are working towards throughout the course of this unit. So here's the final to-do list, and the big elements that we have here, we have a heading right here, we have a button here, some sort of element, we have a text input here, input type equals text, and then this is a UL, and each one of these is an LI in that UL, and then each button right here is a span that we're showing and hiding and changing the width on. And we also need some sort of element to contain everything, and we'll just use a div to do that. So we need a div. Inside that div, we'll make an h1, a text input, a UL with a bunch of LIs, and then some spans in there as well. So we'll start by just writing out some HTML, no real CSS, and just to let you know, the way that we're going to go about this is by creating a ugly to-do list that functions, and then going back and adding in the CSS. So I want to get to the meat of this, which is the jQuery and the logic of making new to-dos and deleting them, and then we'll go back and add some of the pretty stuff at the end. Okay, so let's start with the HTML. I'm going to make a div, and let's give it an ID container, and we're going to put everything inside of that div. And then inside of that div, we'll have an h1, and it will just say to-do list, and then we'll have a text input, so input type equals text, and let's just see how that's shaping up. I'm going to get rid of the purple background for now, and let's go over here. And I'm also going to get rid of this alert. So let's do that now. There we go. Okay, so we have our input, we have our text for the h1. I guess we should make it to-do list. And then the next thing we'll do is add the UL. So let's make those changes. To-do list. And after that, we'll add in our UL. And each to-do is an LI inside of there. And let's start by adding in 3 or 4 starter to-dos. So I'll have go to potions class, buy new robes, and we'll also add visit Hagrid. All right, so we have 3 to-dos in our list. Very unremarkable list so far, but we have our h1, our text input, and our 3 LIs inside of a UL. And now let's go ahead and add in a delete button. And we're not going to have this trash can delete button with all the styling to start. That will come afterwards. We're going to just have a simpler button, and it's actually not even going to be a button. It's just going to look like this. So the letter X that we can click on. And if we click on that X, it will delete that to-do. And that's just how we'll start out. Rather than just having the letter be part of the LI though, I'm going to use a span. So span with a letter X. So let's copy that down. We have 3 spans. Each one has the letter X there. Refresh. Nothing looks different. But now we can select that span separately. And we'll be adding a click listener. So when we click on that span, we want to delete this to-do, or this whole LI. Okay, so that's all the basic markup we need. Let's do a tiny bit of styling. The first thing we'll do is center this div. So the div is ID container. Let's go in here and select that, in our CSS file, select the ID container. And let's give it a nice background gray just to start and see what we get. You can see the div goes all the way across. Let's go ahead and add in a width so that it doesn't go all the way across, and then we'll try and center it in the middle of the screen. So the width we'll do is 360 px, and if we save that, it's just the same width that I have with the final version. So 360 pixels, and then the next thing we want to do, of course, is center that. And the easiest way is to use that margin trick. So we set the margin top and bottom to be 0, and the left and right to be auto. And if we refresh now, we have a nice centered to-do list. So that's all the HTML and CSS that we're going to do to start here. We'll add in some things as we need them, and then once we get the basic functionality down, we'll focus on making this pretty and getting the right, the animations and the effects, the fades and the slides, and making things just look and feel a lot nicer. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to start writing some jQuery.